I feel like I never talked about money on here because, as going back to what I've talked about, what we were just talking about, I just didn't feel like I was qualified to talk about money, because I feel like people who talk about money needs to have millions of dollars, whatever, and I'm just not in the space to be talking about money until I get there. But it's so funny because I woke up this morning to a text from Jamadi, and she was like, I just want to let you know, I have never forgotten the time when you told me that money will come. Don't stress money. And I'm like, she was like, I've never forgotten that, and thank you for that. And I was like, that's so funny, because leading up to today, the money was one of the main things that was on my mind, right? Because of different reasons, not stressing money at all, thank God, but just the energy of money and attracting abundance. Right now, I'm in a position in my life where I know there's a new level coming, and I have to get energetically ready for it. And I have been telling myself, Alicia, you have to constantly work on this. You have to constantly work on receiving more and getting ready for the next level. And then it reminded me, so when Jamadi texted me that this morning, it reminded me of a time and times in the past when I was struggling, when I was having very restrictive energy behind money and being able to attract abundance. And I wanted to make today's topic that, because I'm like, all right, well, I know that if I'm currently at this position in my life where I want to attract more abundance, new abundance, I want to attract new money, I know my ladies are going to be able to relate to this in one way, shape, or form, right? So I want to start off by saying that us women, we've been taught about money the wrong way, right? So growing up, when it came to money, I didn't have quite a relationship with it. Living in a household with just mommy and Epsia, we were women, right? We didn't talk much about money. Mommy never mentioned money, really. But the only way I seen it was that she worked really hard, and that was the way she was able to obtain money. And so growing up in my adult life, I thought the only way to make money was just to have multiple jobs, right? I was like, all right, well, I seen mommy working odd amount of hours, and that's how she was able to obtain the household, right? Of course, with God's presence as well, and that's another component that I'm going to mention later on throughout this message. But I thought, because I didn't have that necessarily God component within me at that point in my life, I thought the only way I was going to be able to make money and get to where I wanted to get to was juggle multiple jobs. So I did just that. From 16 years old, growing up, we've always had 2 to 3 jobs. And I thought that the more that I want, and the more I sacrificed, the more hours I put in, the more hustle I put in, then that's how I was going to obtain the money, right? But throughout that process, I felt like something was not right. I continuously put all these hours in, and I didn't feel like I was getting poured back into. I would work all these jobs, and in a way, I still felt like I didn't have enough. And I think that's a common story. That's okay, Brandy. That's beautiful. I feel like that's a common story for most of us, right? Women living in today's culture, in today's society, and within our age group, the way we thought money was supposed to come was just working, right? Hustle culture. And the hustle culture is such a masculine way of going about it. I'm not saying that it's not the masculine essence is not needed with money, because it is, right? It's the way we are able to retain the money and keep it and invest it properly. But I feel like we were taught wrongfully on how women are able to attract money. So when I was growing up, working odd jobs, whatever it was, making money, but feeling like I couldn't really keep it, it was always, as fast as I was receiving the money, it was leaving. And honestly, the way I was making money, it wasn't fast at all, actually, right? If I were to think about it, working 2 to 3 jobs, you're literally dedicating your life to work. And I never felt fulfilled at that point. And it was always in the back of my mind, this just doesn't feel right. This structure just does not feel right. And what I noticed when I was obviously on the road to opening up our first business, that's when I was exposed to different ways of making money. Thank God, right? So God had put us in a position to open up our gym. And from that moment on, I was able to see how differently we can make money. We made money different ways. We had personal training. We did our clothing line. I did meal preps. We did juices. We did everything under one house. And having those types of streams of income under all in one house, it showed us that we were able, that was the first time I was able to see numbers that I've never seen before in my lifetime. And when I seen those numbers, I was like, shit. I remember we met with an accountant for the first time ever, and he told us how much we made within our first year. And I was like, what? 6 figures in 1 year? I would have never guessed. With a new business, you guys are on the road for a very good road, because usually within your first business, you lose money and we actually gain money. So yes, that was a beautiful thing. And that was all an experience. We were able to attract that money, but unfortunately, because it was the first time we touched those numbers, we didn't really know how to handle the money. We had an accountant. We actually went through 2 to 3 different accountants. So having that experience, not having full control of where the money's going and how to manage the money properly, we made the money, and then in a way we didn't really know how to invest it properly. All we thought was we had to make more money. We had to put in more hours to make more money. So that's exactly what happened. Within the first 2 years of business, we were making money, but we were literally investing all of our time and energy into our business. Because yes, it was our passion and we loved it, but we thought that that was the only way we can make money. So we felt there was some restrictiveness towards it too. It was, all right, I have to keep putting these hours in order to make the money. But now, knowing what I know now, there was other things that there was so many other things we could have done in order for us not to reach the level of burnout that we did. We could have put different people in place in order to train for us so we can manage more of the overhead and manage how we can do more community outreach. There's so many other things we could have done at that point, but God makes no mistakes, and He put that experience in our life for a reason. And that is one of the examples of what I mean when I say that we were taught wrongfully about money. It's specific when I say about with women, because the way women attract money and keep money is completely different than what society has been teaching us. So after the gym, obviously moving to Dallas, we also kept all of our wellness opportunities. We continuously pursued that. And we also wanted to get into the customer service industry because we thought it would be a great way to meet people, build more community, and we did just that, right? But I want to fast forward to the point of when I decided to live on my own, right? So it was the first time that I ever lived. Well, I lived by myself in college, but that in a way that counts, but it doesn't really count because I was young and the way I managed bills was completely different. But this time around, it was the very first time. First, I had the overhead that I had. I've never had to pay that amount of rent by myself before. So I had this new overhead that I've never been experienced before, and I was in a new city. Everything was completely different. So I remember my first few months, I would say maybe even my first year, I was struggling. It was hard. And that's natural. It was hard. It was the first time I had to do all this by myself. And I never wanted to discount myself, right? I'm one of those people that I never want to take away from myself. I always want to add more. So there's certain things that I know that makes me me, and I don't want to take that away from me, right? So for example, I love getting my maintenance routines, like my lashes, my nails, all those things. And some women are able to take that away in order to get ahead. And I don't think that that's the wrong way of going about it, because honestly, if I truthfully, I wish I could be that type of person, but I'm just not that type of person. There's things that I attract, there's things that I desire, that I continuously know that if I continuously stay there, that it's the only, I just won't feel like myself. That's it, right? My husband asked me once before, babe, is there anything you think you can take away for a certain amount of time as far as bills and everything like that? And I told him, there's things that I can make adjustments to, but when it comes to maintenance, I'm just that girl. I really just need I really love getting my nails done, and I love getting my lashes done. Those are just some things, whatever. So I continuously kept that, and I just kept putting more hours in, right? I was doing meal preps. I had 2-3 different serving jobs, all trying to maintain my rent and all my other bills. But it didn't work. I was hustling, and I was still in a way struggling. And I would work until 2-3 a.m. at nightlife, and then I would wake up the next day on Sunday to meal prep for another 8 hours in my kitchen. And then I would wake up the next day after meal prepping for 8+ hours. I would go deliver meals all day. If you just can calculate how crazy that is, putting all that energy and not making the right amount of money. What's not making sense at this point? How am I putting all this energy, all this money, all this energy, and I'm still not making enough? So then, of course, at that time, I was looking at content, looking up, because I was looking around me and I'm like, how are these girls able to make all this money? They seem like they're not struggling at all. And of course, some people are capped. They be fronting for us or whatever, right? That's true. And some people do odd things to make odd money. But I knew that there was another way of going about it. I knew that this was not the only way. I knew that I didn't have to constantly work in this masculine energy in order to get money. So one time I literally was going to bed and I seen this video, and it was on TikTok, and this girl was literally breaking it down about the energy of money. And she was describing how the energy of money is no different than any other energy in the world, right? Any other energy that we can tap into, money is no different. And the problem for us, specifically for women, is that we look at it as something that's so hard to obtain. And we walk into money as if it's this whole restrictive, in a way, we walk into it with already a restrictive reservations about it. And constantly I was intaking content about how to manifest money, and everyone was saying, all you have to do is get in the energy of money. But when you're struggling and you're like, how am I supposed to get to the next level? You just saying, oh, all you have to do is get into the energy of money. That's hard. That's not even possible, because you're literally struggling and you're like, you're in this masculine energy. How can you possibly get in the energy of money if you have all this restrictiveness, right? And so the way she was saying is that don't enter it as if it's something that's so unattainable. Truly believe that you deserve it and you can manifest it and it will come, and it will. And also take away all the restrictive energy that you have. And right now, fast forward to this right now, in this moment in time right now for me, I'm at a point where I know that there's a new level for me to reach. And all I have to do right now is to get rid of all my old habits when it comes to abundance and with money, right? So thank God I'm at a point right now that I'm not struggling anymore and I'm able to attract money and hold it. But I know what is required for the next level in my life is going to be shedding more of those restrictive mindsets that I have in order to get in the energy of abundance, in order to get to that next level. And that's with every stage in our life. I know that I'm here right now, but there's going to be a new level eventually as well that I'm going to have to continuously shed. I'm going to have to continuously let go, because we have been primed wrongfully. That's just the truth. We have been primed wrongfully, and every level that we reach, if we want to continuously move up, we're going to have to continuously shed. It doesn't require for us to work harder, to do something so much more differently. Actually, it takes less. So it takes shedding more of what we've been holding on to in order to attract more. I hope that makes sense for you ladies. And so the final piece of this feminine attracting abundance is that there's a difference between how women, the feminine, attract money than men attract money. So the way women attract money, we have to understand that God has implemented everything that we need in order to receive the abundance that we desire. I was just explaining to the ladies right before Mommy and Brandy and who's ever on the chat. Hello, Queen. Before you ladies hopped on the chat, we were talking about how there's a new level that I'm approaching, and it's a new energy that I've never approached before, but I already have what it takes to get that. I see what I'm able to attract. It's already been said to me, and I'm overqualified for this position. But like I said, all I have to do is literally shed those restrictive habits that I have. I have these internal mindsets that literally doubt my ability to get to that next level. And all I have to do is shed that. And what's left is my talent. If I get rid of all this negative mindset, then I know the only thing that's left is this abundant mindset. So that's literally all I have to do. I don't have to do anything else. I'm already equipped for what's next. I already have the tools for what's next. God has already put it within me. All I have to do is make way for it. That's literally it. And men look at it differently. They get into their mental. They're more like, they say that men work from the bottom. When you look at our aura and things like that, the bottom level where our feet are planted, that's where men attract more money and attract new levels. But women, we attract through our womb. We attract through our intuition. So if you understand that and constantly apply that to every new level in your life, if you constantly apply that and say, this new level is not going to require me to do anything to prove to anybody that I'm able to do it, that I'm qualified to do it. The new level, all that it's going to require is for me to use my intuition and to use God. That's it. To be in partnership with our intuition and be in partnership with God. So that is the complete message for today. And relaying back to that video, when I watched that video at that specific moment in my life, I realized that the missing piece was not that I had to get in the energy of money necessarily, but I had to get rid of the restrictions that I had about money. I had to shed these old habits that told me that I had to do more in order to make money. I had to get rid of that first and allow the energy of money and abundance to come in. And that's it. That's all it's required for us to get to the next level, to get everything that we desire. Because when you hear, oh, just get in the energy of money, what I was thinking is, well, why am I not getting it? I'm trying to get an energy of money. Why am I not getting it? If it was that easy, because it is easy, but if it was that alone, if all it required was for us to get an energy of money, then anyone can get an energy of money. Anyone can obtain the money. Anyone can say the price and it'll come. But actually, the actual work that is required is the internal work. So it takes the internal work in order for us to obtain the money. It doesn't take us doing anything externally. It's internally that's required for us to attract the money. And then, of course, as I mentioned, there is a masculine component when it comes to money. There is a masculine component. We cannot ignore that, because that is the exact reason how I was able to attract money. I was in the times that I was living alone and trying to pay the bills and everything, I was able to attract the money, but I didn't know how to hold it. And that's where the masculine is required, because we have to have discipline. Just like everything in life, we should be able to attract abundance. But what happens to people who literally make all this money and then they get crazy with it? They do weird stuff with the money. There has to be a discipline aspect to it as well. So it's all about balance. But I wanted to remind you ladies today that there is a feminine component when it comes to money and when it comes to abundance. And I believe that in today's world, we have to learn how to tap into that even more. Because right now, what people are craving is that intuition component. We have AI now, right? AI, ChatGPT. It's one of the most masculine structures because you literally plug something in and it spits right back out. But what we're going to be craving in the next few lifetimes is the intuition part of it, the feminine part of it, the godly part of it. AI is not God. We are the ones that are able to receive God and have God within us. And that's what people are going to crave. So if you understand, if anyone ever tries to feed this bullshit that AI is going to take our jobs, Y and Z, that's so not true. That couldn't be further from the truth. Because what AI is actually doing is honestly encouraging us to use our more man-like abilities, our female-like abilities in order to make money. Of course, yes, honestly, I told my man the other day, I'm so happy for AI because it honestly takes care of all the masculine part of work, and I'm able to just tap into my own inner feminine in order to do that part, in order to be a creative. I'm able to create within my intuition and my feminine, and then AI can help me get done all the masculine parts of it, the structural part of it. Because I'm not gonna lie, I have trouble with that. And so that's literally it. It's just like there is a feminine component of attracting abundance and money, and we just need to learn how to use it more. And don't be afraid to use it. It's within us. There's no extra tools that we need in order to tap into it. And that's it.